some of the things that we picked up, religious stuff we picked up that we found out it's not matching up. One of the things that the Most High said, and if we want the next piece is we have to prophesy. We need to open our mouths and prophesy. So in the Beatitudes, we really don't know where that came from, really. Because you got to remember the New Testament, a lot of it dealt with the slave Bible. And a lot of what was in the slave Bible is still in this, what we call New Testament. And so we're going to go into that, not now, but a little bit later. But when we look at the Beatitudes, it tells us something that we understand that we are peacemakers, and we understand that many will persecute us. But in 5 verse 11 it says, "Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kind of evil against you falsely for my sake." He says, "Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." But I believe we've taken that out of context. We understand that people will talk about you. We understand that if we understand we have a mandate, we can keep moving forward, regardless of what people say, even if it's we moving by ourselves. Because we understand it's only a few. Another scripture, and I didn't look it up, it says, "Turn the other cheek." Another scripture that says, "Pray for your enemies." But it's not adding up to the Torah, to the Tanakh, to the Old Testament. We should always be able to find what did Yahuwah say about it. What did the prophets say about it? And we are not able to see that. Because what we see, anybody that came against the Most High, came against his mandate, became an enemy. Period, the end. If it was nations, the whole nation would be at fault. The children, the women, the babies, everybody. So when you begin to study the prophets, Ezekiel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Micah, Obadiah, he always says, prophesy against. So in the slave Bible, it talked about obey your masters. Be quick to forgive. And we do want to be quick to forgive because we don't want to hold that type of weight in our hearts. But I'm finding out more and more that the Most High is holy. He's righteous. But he's a mighty, mighty army within himself. and he don't play. Not whatsoever. Don't care who you are. Don't care how high you are. Or how high you think you are. He always said, you will know that I am Yah. Prophesy against. Prophesy against. Prophesy against. That is what I want to talk to you just briefly about. The prophets are coming forth, but it is not going to be the smooth talkers anymore. The ones that's prophesying about a car and prophesying about you getting a promotion or you getting a house and all of that. He said, they are saying peace and there's no peace. Where is that scripture? Might be in Jeremiah. I think we said it last night. Crying peace, and then there's no peace. So that's why he said, you prophet lying. And I'm going after the prophets and the shepherds. Because those are the ones that's over my people. One of the things we said on the live last night, we said, because there are quite a few pastors there and leaders that are coming on the lives, and we say, you have to prophesy this in your assembly. Jeremiah 6 and 14.
And also Ezekiel 13 and 10.
Ezekiel what?
13 and 10.
And then Jeremiah 6.
Yes. Ezekiel 13.
Look what it says. Six and
14. But I think last time she back up to 11.
so, what I'm finding out is this. He's full of fury.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hot as a firecracker. Huh?
I said hot like a 45 south.
He's full of indignation. He's angry.
Yeah.
He said it's an abomination. So angry, let's say things he hates.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to the children of Israel. It goes back to Gentiles. He's dealing with these at all times. Look what it says. 11. Therefore I am full of the fury of the Most High Yah, and weary of holding it in. Now this is Jeremiah talking. And I will pour it out on the children outside, and on the assembly of young men together, for even the husband shall be taken with the wife, the age with him who is full of days, and the houses shall be turned over to others, and fields and wives together. For I will stretch out my hand against the inhabitants of the land, says Yahuwah. Because from the least of them, even to the greatest of them, everyone is given to covetousness. And from the who?
Prophet.
say he?
Prophet.
From the prophet and even to the priest. Everyone is lying. Y'all see that?
Yes.
He said, all y'all in trouble. Listen. They have also healed the hurt of my people. How much? Slightly. Saying what? Peace, peace. When there is what? No peace. Were they ashamed when they had committed abomination? No, they were not at all ashamed, nor did they know how to blush. Therefore they shall fall among those who fall. And at the time I punish them, they shall be cast down, says the Most High Yah. He's always dealing with blessings, or you to turn around and cross me. He is always looking for what? Obedience. Because we did not create ourselves. And because we are here for a purpose. If we find ourselves here, that means that we have not only purpose, but we've been chosen for a task. We've been chosen for a mandate. We've been chosen for the Great Commission. We can find ourselves right now with the prophets. So if we're going to prophesy in this hour, we got to prophesy rightly. If we're going to prophesy, if we cannot say peace, peace when there is what?
No peace.
No peace. Listen. Where's the other one, Ezekiel? Ezekiel what? 13.
I was like 8.
What is it?
I was like 8, but the city was
13:8. Therefore, thus says the Most High Yah, because you have spoken nonsense and envisioned what? Lies. Therefore, I am indeed what? Against you. Y'all see that? My hand will be against the prophets who envision futility and who divine lies. They shall not be in the assembly of my people, nor be written in the record of the house of Israel. Apostle, we read this. Nor shall they enter into the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am Elohim, because they have seduced my people, saying peace, when there is no peace. And one builds a wall, and they plaster it with untempered mortar. Say to those who plaster it with untempered mortar, that it will fall. There will be flooding, rain, and you, O great hailstone, shall fall. See, we're not prophesying rightly. Because we were taught to prophesy smooth. Always the blessing. And when we were taught to leadership, and we would have a word for leadership based on what the Ruach HaKodesh is saying to us, and sometimes it will be a hard word, they will say, you are out of order. But Nathan had a prophet. David had a prophet that his name was Nathan. And when David was supposed to be out with the kings, he was at home peeking through the window. Looking at Bathsheba. And the prophet began to talk to him after he set up Bathsheba, slept with Bathsheba. Then Bathsheba became pregnant. He said, well, you know what? I'm going to have to kill your husband. Kill her husband, got her husband drunk, then put him on the front line in the war. That's why we need prophets in this hour. We have to have it. And so David and his prophet, they're walking, they're talking. And Nathan is saying, hey, there was this man and had a little lamb and one. And he went on to say what happened to him. And after he said everything that would happen, what David did, but in a parable, that David said, who is that man? Out with that man. In other words. And Nathan said, you the man. Because if that was very little, the Most High would have given you more. We got to have the prophets to come forth, because there are some areas we got to prophesy against. And right now we need to prophesy against Babylon, this place where we are living. This is still the land of captivity. Even though we're in it, we're not of it, and we know how to operate supernaturally, but guess what? We got to prophesy against it. We got to align ourselves with the prophets and say what they're saying. A couple of scriptures. Then I'm done. We're going to fast next week. And I'm going to send it out to everybody. But we're going to prophesy the word. We don't have to try to come up with something. We're just going to prophesy what the prophet said. Since it's already settled in heaven, waiting for word to meet word. So when we speak it, it's going to cause some type of explosion in the supernatural in order to activate what was spoken. Y'all see that? Did I tell you those scriptures? So he prophesied against territories, cities, shepherds, Israel, Babylon, Mount Seir. Okay, let's go to, let's see, I'm trying to find one. It's Jeremiah 26:12. Let's see what it says. I don't know exactly who he was talking to, but we know he talks to priests, he talks to prophets, he talks to everybody, he talks to mountains. He prophesies to and against. Raise your hand. I might not walk in the office of a prophet, but I am a prophetic generation. Therefore, the gift and the operation of prophecy is in my belly. Therefore, I will speak what the prophets have spoken. Look what it says here. That Jeremiah spoke to all the who?
People, all the princes.
All the princes, that's leadership. And to all the what? People, saying, the Most High sent me to prophesy against this house. obey the voice of the Most High, Yah, your God. Then Elohim will relent concerning the doom that he has pronounced against you. Do y'all see that?
Yes.
So when a prophet comes, and as the gift is being stirred up in you, the Most High is sending either the blessing or the warning. And he says here, I am prophesying against the city, against the leaders, against the house. He said, now leave no ways. Change. Y'all see that? That's just one. There's 90 millions of them. Okay, let's go to one more. Let's see. Ezekiel 21, maybe. Huh?
That's Jeremiah 50.
See, I gotta open my mouth.
I gotta open my mouth.
Listen, okay, we're gonna go to 50. Jeremiah 50. The word that the Most High Yah spoke, what?
Against.
I didn't hear anybody.
Against.
I didn't hear anybody.
Against.
Against. You gotta start prophesying against. Ain't no turning no cheek no more.
How do you know?
You have enemies that want to take you out. Take out your whole family.
Yeah.
Take out the whole Israel.
Yes.
Do y'all see what's going on in the world? Sometimes I cannot, because you be like, you just can't do it.
But it's not new.
It's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Look. The word of the Most High came against who?
Babylon.
Babylon. We know Babylon is a system. And we're going to talk about Babylon starting next week. And Babylon is a system, but Mystery Babylon is America. And also, different ones that have that same system going on, along with the eagles, he said. Against Babylon, against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Look what he said. What he say? Declare among the nations. Then he what? Proclaim and set up a standard. What else? Proclaim, do not conceal it. What he say? Say. Babylon is taken. Baal is shamed. Merodach is broken in what? Pieces. Her idols are what? Humiliated. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north a nation comes up against her, which shall make her land desolate, and no one shall dwell therein, and shall move, and they shall depart, both men and what? Beasts. What did he say? Declare.
Publish.
Huh? Proclaim. What else? Say. It's dealing with your what? Mouth. He is telling us to open our mouth. He's telling us to speak against it. Speak against Babylon. We're in a Babylonian system that hates you. But the Most High Yah said you speak against it. I want you to go through Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51. Just start right there. and write everything where he says, say, speak, prophesy against. Write it out on the table, print it out. Because this is where we begin. And the gates of hell cannot prevail. That's it.
Look at Jeremiah 5:25-31.
Jeremiah 5:25. Jeremiah 25, 5:25.
Chapter 6, verse 25.
Oh, chapter 6.
I'm sorry, chapter 5. 5:25.
5:25. Declare this from verse 20 in the house of Jacob and proclaim it in Judah, saying. Are we saying?
Yes, we are.
Are we still saying?
We still
Do
saying.
you see?
Yes.
Hear this now, O foolish people without understanding. You have eyes and see not, and who have ears and hear not. Do you not fear me? Oh, wait a minute. We done seen the scripture that says, oh, you thought I was a man just like you. Another scripture says, oh, you're gonna throw everything to the back of you. We need to find out. Listen, do not fear me, says Elohim. Will you not tremble at my presence, who have placed the sand as the bound of the sea by a perpetual decree, that it cannot pass beyond it? And though its waves toss to and from, yet they cannot prevail. Though they roar, yet they cannot pass over it. 23. But this place has a defiant and rebellious heart.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, we're still dealing with a rebellious, stiff-necked people. That's why only a few. Now here it is. We got masses. But in the masses, it's only a remnant within a remnant. We still have that little window open to return. He's so merciful.
Yes, he is.
He's so awesome. Well, we can still return. Even though we're going to still get a whipping, we can still return. Look. Because they taught us, if you return, you won't get a whooping. He said that you don't think you're not going to go unpunished. I have to do it because I love you. So you won't do it anymore. There are always consequences. They taught us we had grace. We didn't have to worry. We could get under grace and we good. It's not about, okay, it's not about if you're going to pay, it's when. You're going to pay.
Or your generations pay.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody going to pay for it.
Will pay.
Hey, when you read this, somebody going to pay. You, the city that you live in, it could be the whole city can go to Zonk because of one person. Look at Jonah.
Yeah.
The folk on the boat said, we were cool. Wait a minute, hold them up, Buttercup. Somebody done got up on here, now we're going through all kind of trouble. Wait a minute, what happened? Okay, when we stopped here, we were cool. We stopped here, we were still cool. But when we wait a minute, this the only one that got on over here. And things start happening over here. They knew the fear of the Most High. They said, look, Joe, you got to go. He's like, well, wait a minute, give me a raft boat or something. They didn't even give him a boat. They threw him overboard. And when he was going overboard, he caught his calamity. But this people has a defiant and rebellious heart. They have revolted and departed. They do not say in their heart, let us now fear the Most High, His way, both the former and the latter in this season. He reserved for us the appointed weeks of the harvest. Your iniquities have turned these things away, and your sins have withheld good from you. We don't want that. What you got, Apostle?
We can get all night long if you want me to get up.
Tell the truth. But what I'm saying is, by any means necessary, you got to keep cover and protect what the Most High is giving you.
Yes.
To walk in obedience. Because our daddy is gentle. He is awesome. Guess what? But he is also, they can teach us this part. They didn't teach us this. They say, oh, if you did something, just say forgive me. And then you can go do it again. Huh? Just ask for grace. It's cool. Everybody's saying it comes short of the glory. Have y'all ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Everybody's saying it comes short of the glory. We're all sinners. So how do we stay on that narrow path? By any means necessary, every second, I'm going to give my best. Huh? They say you can't do it, and I'm saying lie, pants on the real fire.
Just want to say a few things and just all praises to the Most High, Yah. So I want to say a few things. She said that we have to be able to discern rightly, to prophesy. Prophesy requires for discernment at the highest level. And I found a scripture or something that he wants us to be able to hit in order to build in that area of prophecy. They said that prophecy was ended during the time of Daniel. And it's true. Daniel sealed the books, and the Most High told him to seal the books until the end times. Then we find in 2nd Ezra where the books were open. And that means when he sealed the books, the prophets, the apostles, and all of that stopped. Now the books have been opened after the 400 years. The return of the prophets are back. And the gifts that dwell on the inside of you, you think that you don't have it yet, it is there. Why? Because we have the power of the Most High that he has imparted on the inside of us. Now here's the key. Here's the key. I was telling the apostle the other day, consider this a source. And consider this here another source. And consider this another source. And so we call this source corruptible. This was C-O-R, right? And consider this source right here incorrupted. I-N-C-O-R, right? Okay. But you have corruptible and incorruptibility. You understand? Now, in the middle of here, he called this paradise. Right? And here's the reason why. In order for you to hit paradise, you cannot be biased to anything here on earth. You have to be able to rightly discern corruptibility from incorruptibility and hit straight down the center. In other words, you have a sister and a husband, and you know your sister, and you know you lean more to your sister when she's talking to you in order for to give her some advice. Then you got her husband who will come, and he, automatically, by that being your sister, the husband is automatically condemned. You understand? So basically, you become biased. Why? Because you're leaning more to your sister's side other than hitting the side, other than hitting it straight down the middle. And that's what prophecy is. You have to be able to hit that, because he said in the book of Enoch, the Lost Secrets, once you hit straight down the middle, not being biased to one way or another, you hitting paradise, which builds you up spiritually to allow you to. So now the build up is not manifested visibly. The build up is manifested invisibly. One goes into two goes into four, and it comes back to paradise and gives you what you want. In other words, when you hit that mark straight down the center without being biased left or right, you're being built up. And that's what he said, how paradise is. That's how you'll become the strong person. That's how you become strongly discerned. Why? Because you're choosing a method that's flawless. If you're biased to either side, then you will not be able to prophesy, period. You will not be able to rightly divide the word, and you will become what they call a false prophet, because you're being biased on one side and not on the other. Let me say one more thing. The kingdom of heaven has afforded us to know where we come from. We came from the earth, now we came from heaven. So coming from heaven, we already have the gifts on the inside of us. We just didn't know it. So the gifts are already there. It just needs to be activated. That muscle needs to be exercised. Everything in our body is a muscle that needs to be strengthened or flexed so you can understand who you are. And this is what I'm finding out. Why? Because when we begin to prophesy, and he's looking for you to prophesy rightly. He's looking because he knows you have the capability. So we must be able to hit that mark every time without being biased, period, so we can build up that spiritual muscle that's on the inside of us that we can rightly discern that word. Here's another thing that I ran across, and it's in Sarah, but I'm going to go ahead and say it to you. Here. In Sarah, or whatever her name is, it says, for the fear of the Most High is wisdom and instructions and faith and meekness. So if we take on the fear of the Most High, which is wisdom, instruction, fear, and meekness, once we take that on, then we pick up the spiritual things of the Most High and not the physical things of the Most High. When you take on the spiritual things of the Most High, you're not going to see it because it's invisible. But it's plain just as you can see it. So we understand that the visible things and the physical things are two things that he worked on both sides, right? We know about the physical, but we don't know nothing about the invisible. So we have to take in consideration the invisible as well as the visible in order for us to operate in the spiritual. You have the capability of pulling out of the invisible into the visible, or speaking by faith into it. That's what makes you so powerful. Your job is to work up your faith and believe and stand according to obedience, righteousness, and sanctification.
So, I have a question.
Yeah.
scripture, you mentioned in Sarah, that if we take up those wisdom and the humility and the meekness,
127.
will that keep us from being fathers?
Well, wisdom is from the Most High. It keeps you on.
And what was the scripture, Sarah?
127.
127. And the question was, if we take up those characteristics of the Most High, will that keep us from being biased?
Yeah, you wouldn't be biased. Period. You would not. It wouldn't be your portion because you're taking on His character. You see, once you take on His character, then you would not worry about what's the left or the right. It would not bother you. Period. The end, you would hit that mark every time. You see.
So those are the things we seek out.
Exactly.
And that's what you're saying, we build our.
Exactly. Flexing our muscles because the body is nothing but a muscle. Whatever you work on the longest shall become the strongest. So now we understand that if this is true, we hit this mark every time, you can be able to prophesy to the future. Why? Because He wants you to. But this world as we know it is offering us more of this world the way we see it, and we lose a whole lot of this invisible. We become more worldly other than becoming more spiritual. You see? I don't like to really use the word spiritual because, let's just say in the Ruach. There's a place in the Ruach that we have that He has prepared for us that we dwell in. You see? So if we know this right here, we'll hit this mark every time. And I'm going to say this. If you're not humble and you're not meek, you won't have a problem. Because humbleness and meekness affords you to have this peace.
It's a total surrender.
And that's what I'm seeing a whole lot of us are having problems with. We have this humbleness and this meekness. We can start off with it, but we have to maintain it. You see what I'm saying? Because if we don't maintain it, then we won't be able to hit that mark. Why? Because
it's more us.
it's right.
And we become the idol.
And I want to say this and I'm done. I was telling Brother Mike outside, I said, the 400 years of coming out of that which the Most High had us in bondage really took us into religion. And when it took us into religion, it really messed us up real bad because the gift as we know it through mama and mama, they beat it on us because we looked and we see Jesus on the wall, you see, and if you say something, you will get hit with a shoe. Now we carry that, but now we're coming out of it because we're finding out the truth on certain things. So it's a good thing. I think everything happened in the time and the season. And so, that's where I am with that. But one more thing. The Most High knew that when He made us, He made a workhorse too. When He made us greater than any person here on this earth. So He allowed, what is that? What is that? He allowed the evil heart to grow with the laws that's on the inside of us. So He knew that the laws on the inside of us would be able to diminish anything other than that was coming on the inside of us. So when we truly want to come out of something and we working the tools of the laws on the inside of us, guess what's going to lead? The evil heart. Then we begin to build ourselves up because the character of the laws begin to become stronger on the inside of us that pushes us away from everything else. So the law, as we know it, that plays a factor. Why? Because we're producing something. And that which we're producing is being made manifest. When you want to praise and worship, what do? When you come in here, you want to praise and worship. You start out wanting to praise, but you wind up worshiping and praising him. Tears begin to run down. You're creating an atmosphere. What is that? Because you have tapped off into something, and he's aligned you up with it, and all the tools that he has given you are working on the behalf of the invisible. Everybody don't have it. I'm going to just say. But let me say this also. Even those that don't have it, when they do get it, they may very well supersede you. Why? Because it is a gift that's on the inside, and people put limitations on it.
Other people put limitations
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
And we should never, even if you're the only one going down that road, even if you're the only one going down that road, let us stand. Go down that road because you know the Most High has told you to go down that road. Any more questions?
Well,
Come on.
if you have, okay, if you have those characteristics of the Most High,
Come on, put it on mic.
It should be on.
I don't know, this is very encouraging.
Yeah.
But so our goal is to strive always for obedience, righteousness, sanctification, humility, meekness, kindness,
Always.
compassion,
It's him.
all those things.
Yeah.
And as long as we stay in that vein, we'll always hit the mark.
Right.
Always hit corruptible because we're made of, incorruptible because we're made of the incorruptible seed.
That is he called that the super seed, the spiritual seed.
Because we don't want this. But if we, everything that he talks about through here is always this.
And then that brings on fury, indignation,
Yes.
anger, and abomination.
Because it's corrupt.
Right, and because we are incorruptible.
Right.
The corrupt stirs up that.
Yeah, but wait, 400 years our forefathers brought that corruptibility in it.
Yeah.
It didn't well within the inside of it. So now after the 400 years are over and that you were chosen to come out of it, so you have to be instrumental in coming out of it. Why? Because our forefathers sold us in.
So we have to be torn down.
Exactly.
Torn down and then rebuilt.
And that's what the...
And if you were raised in religion,
That's what has to be torn.
Exactly.
And then we have to be built back up
Exactly.
and restructured.
Exactly.
and if you allow obedience to be your foundation, it becomes easy.
And that's how you can walk the narrow path.
Right.
Only.
Well, I want to say, I'm 127 days fasting today.
Wow.
No, it is a mandate he has given me, and everybody else don't choose that. But he has given me to choose this, to take this pathway. It's not that I put my hands up and say, hey. No, he said, no, I want you to do this because I have something for you.
But because you chose to do it
Exactly.
and you were obedient,
Exactly.
that's how you're going to
Exactly.
get to the end.
Exactly. So what it does, it breaks you away from everything that everybody is going through. All this hunger, everything that people are doing, it breaks you away. People say, oh, no, you can't live. It's a lie.
Yes, you can.
You can do it. It can be done because I am doing it.
Because you know what? The scripture says Jesus, Yeshua, fasted for 40 days,
Yeah.
and he didn't get hungry until after.
That's right. That's
So
right.
you could do it.
Well, I'm finding out just in that because now I dedicated my whole life to it.
Yeah.
I dedicate my whole life to it. Why? Because it's a place where they call the narrow pathway.
Yeah.
See, now I hear, I feel, and I see, and I do. It's totally different. It begins to separate you away from the world stuff and put you in a different bracket.
You don't question it.
Exactly. And it takes anger away, but it makes you stronger, makes you more vibrant, makes you more complete. You feel more of his power. You see, where everybody else is struggling, you don't want to struggle no more. It becomes easy.
all you have to do is make a choice.
That's it. And that's because struggle means you have to make a choice.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. You have something? Dr. Pastor Sherry?
I'm just.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just excited.
Yeah.
That's all. Just excited.
Because see, you know, what he's doing, and for me, I ain't never fasted 40 days. My first 40 days was hard, I must say. But the second 40 days was not as hard as the first one. But the third 40 days was a cruise. It's like, look at here. Oh, look at here, I'm going to do this here from now on. Why? Because when you go into something and your body get used to it, then when you quit it, guess what? You try to go back to that, you're going to get sick. Right? And then you got to be retrained and come back in here, and then before you sick and all that, so why not stay in it? Why not stay in it?
So great.
It's almost like when you take your body off of certain foods for an extended period of time, and then you try to go back to that food, your body rejects it.
Yeah, it is.
But I want to share that speaks to what Apostle was talking about, but it also boils down to obedience. And that was on yesterday. I got a phone call, and it was like, it's an emergency. You know, we need to pray for an individual. And so what happened was, I guess the person was having some heart problems, but it boiled down to this, that they couldn't catch a breath, and they were out for an extended period of time, and the emergency medical team was working on them for over an hour, okay, because they weren't really breathing.
Wow.
So the person is in ICU today. There was 4 of us on the line. So somebody got on and they were praying. They were like, well, you know, somebody needs to be there with her because you know how things are happening and they're killing people. And so the father said, I'm just listening, because different people were praying. And so he told me, he said, don't agree with that. And I said, no. I said, we are the Most High's mouthpiece in the earth realm. And there is no distance in the spirit. I said, but they were crying, and there was crying. They were crying for, immediate healing. I said, I'm more concerned with this person's spirit being right now. I said, because if perchance it's not where it should be, then we need to be in agreement, and agreement is what's needed, but we need to be in agreement that the Father resuscitates them to give them another opportunity to get it right. I say because that's the most important. I say because He, at that point, is going to give everybody the wisdom that's needed to do what needs to be done for her. So today, this individual's oxygen levels have improved. But I kept hearing that if I didn't speak, her blood could be on my hands. And I did not want that. So in essence, basically, if the Father says do, we have to speak and we have to say it. Don't agree with the negative. I don't care who says it, what's being said. We have to speak what He tells us to speak. And because there is no distance in the spirit.
One more thing, and while she was talking, remind me that the whole purpose that what we do here is to build your faith. Because everything already is here before we got here. And we're thinking it wrong. We're thinking that, oh, we can conjure up this thing, and it can, no, it's already been here.
Because the natural came from the supernatural.
Exactly. You did own it.
And so I really want to talk a whole lot more about it, but I found out how it happened. See now, because when you want to ask a question, they're angels. Say, angels, I need for you to just show me, and they'll put it in your pathway. The problem is when he put it in your pathway, will you believe it? Because he will put it in your pathway. Oh, what is this? Wait a minute. Let me go see if I can validate this. Let me see if this is true. No. You asked a question, and sure enough, here comes the answer. And I found out it was true because what the Most High did was, from himself, he created this great, big, bright light. And the light was so bright that he brought from himself, detached it from himself, brought it out and put it into the invisible. This bright light was so bright, so when he did it, out from the invisible, he created the sun, the moon, the grass, the earth. He created everything out of this, like the dogs, the cats, the girl, the boy, everything of the animals, everything from the bright light. And then he took it from the he took that bright light out of the invisible, brought it over into that which he created called the visible, and put it on the ground and formed the dust around it, and blew the breath of life in it, and he, named Adam, became a living soul. So when he was in the garden, Adam, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? Adam was an angel. Adam was an angel. He was the high priest of the Most High Yah. We came from him. We're the children of the light. So when we came from him, Adam fell. When he fell, he didn't know how far he fell back. He was scared, and he began to digress, and his body began to change and many other things. And when he fell back, he finally got stabilized in his praying, and that's what he did. He wound up becoming the strongest praying person I ever seen. So he began to pray and pray and pray. And when he came out of the garden, this is what the Most High said to Adam. Oh, Adam, he said, I'm going to come and redeem you 5.5 days later. One day with Most High is what? 1,000 years. I will come and redeem you 5,500 days later. And he did. When he did, he took Adam. It's a whole lot. Because we've been misinformed. They built so much on somebody else that right here in front of our eyes, Adam was who he was. And when Shem went to get Adam out of Noah's ark, he touched the body of Adam, and guess who he became? Melchizedek. Now Melchizedek is the high priest of the Most High Yah. And Melchizedek was the one that placed where Abraham took his son to go sacrifice him at the altar. That was Melchizedek's place where he had to keep all the time. So Shem could not leave that place. So that's how Salem came. Salem? No. Jerusalem? Because they built Jerusalem close to the mountain so they can go visit him every day. So when they decided, when Shem took the body out of Noah's ark, an angel came from heaven and helped him, took it all the way to a place called the four corners of the earth, named Golgotha. So when he took him to Golgotha, his body sunk into the ground. When his body sunk into the ground, he knew he had completed the task. The angel went back to heaven, and Shem became Melchizedek. Because he touched the Holy One, Adam. This is what we're finding out. We're finding all of this out.
I know that's a lot. We're studying. It's delicious.
Yeah.
It's
All
all about
praises to the
learning
Most
ways
High.
of the Most High.
All praises.
It's
All
about
praises.
studying. We got to study.
Yeah.
Study. And the studying is helping us to decrease more so we can increase. It's causing, as we study, we are being thankful for obedience. Because the more we study, the more we obey. Because we understand he's loving. He's good and loving.
Yeah.
But we also understand that he don't play with nobody. That's the part that they'll teach us. They always say, oh, he's love. Even with all of this racism going on. Oh, he's love. Oh, he is love. We have to remember, we all have the same blood. Color doesn't matter. Y'all, I didn't get into that tonight. Y'all better be glad.
But this is a pet peeve I have, the evangelicals. They say they love God, but then they're so racist toward us.
Oh, did you see what Dutch Sheets put up? Oh, it's some stuff. Oh, I'm not
There's something
to a whole bunch of them.
There's something even worse than that,
Worse than that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I found out last Sunday that and the Most High said He was going to do it, and so we understand the day of Pentecost is the Most High's day, right? 30 Church of God in Christ high official apostles died.
Well, a bunch of them called.
They did.
A bunch of, but then you got worship leaders that.
The worship leaders, it says it in the scriptures. They said they were coming after the worship leaders. Because see, listen.
He said, children.
This is what he said. The day you hear my voice, harden not your heart. So you ain't got no excuse, because once he come calling on you and you don't answer, you in trouble. That's just the bottom line. So, and he said to the officials, and one of the officials he was overseeing 101 churches. He goes.
Well, it's a whole bunch of indignation.
They're dying. They're dying.
I'm telling you, that's why, that old song, only thing I could hear, Get Right Church. Well, I think Get Right Church and go home.
Better get right before he get with you, because he said recompense. What is recompense? Oh, I'm coming to give you your blessing. Your blessing might not be the blessing you think it is, but I'm coming to give it to you, because when I called upon you, you turned your back against me. Or you made up these sermons and you did not come and pray to me. You did not seek me. You did not hear me. Yes, some kind of way you lost me altogether, or whatever came into to cause you to distance yourself away from me. I'm coming after you, because you got all these people under you and you have turned away from me, says the Most High Yah.
And it's right in our face.
It's right in our face.
It's right in the city of Houston.
Yeah, it is.
Right down the street.
Yes, And so what we're saying is, once we come, we have to come out of, they have to come out of this religion. Everything about religion you got to come out of. Everything. Because it was never created to exalt the Most High. It was created to put Him down.
And to keep us in bondage.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is what I'm finding. And y'all forgive me. I talk so bad about the Bible, and so the Most High when it did some things, and so
he had put the 66 down, and I'm telling you, I was about 2 years. And the only thing he carried was the apocrypha. And it took. I'm not going to even go into details. But look at what he carried. He said, I got a book. They sent me a book.
This book from South Africa.
And I was like, okay. And then, no, he said, well, you go over some scriptures with me. And I was like, he said, yeah, because I got to go over these scriptures and they in this book.
Yep.
And I said, okay. And I'm praying for, I don't know what these people about South Africa and all of this. Wait a minute. He came, I said, that's the Bible. Ain't no book. And then later on, I started laughing, maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, after going through a lot of scriptures. I mean, they were giving like 30, 40, 50 scriptures at one time. And I'm going with it. I said, okay, yeah, let me see. Yeah, let's go. Oh. And then I laughed. I said, Father, you got a sense of humor. I said, he put it down. He put the 66 sits down, and he had to think of it as a book and not the Bible.
Well, this
And the error.
this got most of the errors out. And look,
It's the guy issues.
you see how the book is right here? See how the names is? This is the correct order of the names of the books. All the other books are not in the correct order. Like Jude, you see Jude and all of that? Jude is not there. Jude is really Judah. And in fact, James is like Jacob. You know, and so, you know, it's just a whole lot of things that they changed up and did. And you know, but I'm gonna tell you, it really is a good read, and it gives you more insight on the Ruach, you know.
He said good read.
It is a good read.
It's the Hebraic.
It is a good read.
It's the Bible, but it's
It is the Bible.
Hebraic roots Bible.
I had put it down all together, really, and so
Don't
they.
download this, you can go through. Well, I know it was time to put all this together.
Well, I was, you know, I told him that I wasn't going to the Bible anymore because I didn't really believe in, you know, I told the Most High, I said, you know, I don't believe in the Bible because half the stuff that I read in there, and he confirmed it. And so this right here has lesser errors in it. And so, the guy, from South Africa. Yeah, they saw me on Facebook.
See, that's you. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Just talk you.
And he called me, they called me personally, and even now I go call them, and I'm ministering to maybe 50, 75 people over there. I'm telling them what the Son said the Most High, and you know, they telling me that I'm one thing, and I ain't about to say it, but you know, they saying that they've been praying. They got people who pray over all time, and women pray overnight, 24 hours a day. They got something. So when they called me, they said, you know, this is who you are. Blah, 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 blah.
Give him 30, 40, show him some of these scriptures. But anyway, how he got it.
But the thing is, you went for the Most High, and then you just let him say, look, I don't believe this.
Well, you know,
I see y'all listen.
Yeah.
And you
No.
know, some of it, you could tell.
well, you don't want to waste your time. You understand? You don't want to waste your time doing nothing. So I cut that off, and I was thinking to this and going into the other books and looking for all the other things. And once I finished Adam and Eve and the Cave of Treasures and the Book of Bees, and when I finished all of that, you know, I was like, okay, let me go back in here. And then when they called me, they told me, you know, they had a barrier, ain't language barrier, but you know, we start talking, and then he said, look, I'm gonna send you this your book and see. Now this is what he said. I'm gonna give you the scriptures. You tell me what the interpretation of
Yeah,
it
that's
is.
how it started. Shucks, when he went over the first one, the first 40 or 50, it was dealing with nothing but sin.
Yep.
And I said, oh, wait. Then they came back to fornication and adultery.
Yep.
And then I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Who these people are?
Yeah.
They giving you 50 and 60 scriptures, but anyways, it's been good. It's been 4 hours of studying, but 5 hours, but it's
Oh, there ain't nothing to study. 6 hours a day is nothing to study, to be honest with you. I mean, that's what we are a day. 6 hours. 6 hours, at least 6 hours a day? At least 5, 6 hours. We hitting it. You see, so it's not, listen, there's been an acceleration, and we're not going to talk about it. I'm just saying, when you begin to fast and you begin to go into that place, you begin to set aside everything else, forsake everything else, because you know you got to get to a destiny. Your destiny is calling you. Once you know that you're hitting that destiny and you go at these books and write down the scriptures, I can write it all down, but it's written in here when we begin to go forward. And that's the beautiful thing about it, because once you say you put something down, you got to go back and pick it up. But I have to say, you know what? I don't feel. See, when I read the King James version, it does something to me here. When I read it here, it don't.